What's up, guys? It's Tyler McKinney back here again, and today we're going to continue on with the XFL. We're going to be looking at the coaching staffs. Today we're going to head on out to LA. We're going to check out the Wildcats staff. Well, if it's your first time here, I'm glad you're here, and if you're a return viewer, thanks for coming back. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and let's get into the content for today. So let's go ahead and let's look at the XFL Wildcats, the LA Wildcats coaching staff, and that's all headed off with the coach Winston Moss. If you haven't watched any videos of any interviews with Winston Moss, he is a fiery guy, and I like him. He's a guy that kind of just says what's on his mind. He really, you can really tell that he just, I don't know, he's just genuine, he's real. He seems like he's a guy right now that's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got a point to prove. And man, does he have swagger. And again, this has nothing to do with anything on the football field. But man, you just watch that man and you know that he just, he's got something about him. The way that he carries himself, he just has it. You just look at him, you're like, man, I got you, and so when I look at this, for the XFL to put a guy like Winston Moss as the head coach in LA, I'm all about it. You know how LA is with movie stars and, all that is LA. Man, Winston Moss is what LA needs for their coach. Granted, we're not talking anything on the football field. We're just looking at this from just a pure charismatic standpoint. Winston Moss is who he is. He's got that swagger. Man, is he bringing it to LA? And I think that LA is gonna kind of have that kind of swagger about him. If you've seen Luis Perez, he's kind of got a little bit of a swagger to him as well. And so I think this team is going to mold and kind of come around this persona. So I really like it, especially for LA. And not only with, the whole, LA, you've got to be bigger than life. You got to come with some personality, with some pizzazz and out there. And Winston Moss has it. And he's got the quarterback that he wants to do that with that. And so, I'm looking at this and I really like it. And if there is kind of one, I don't know, just overall, like underlying theme when I look at all these coaches, a lot of the coaches on his staff, it's just like they're all out here, they got a chip on their shoulder, and they're ready to prove something. And if they can get that to translate to their players that they're coaching, you're going to have to look out for this LA Wildcats team because they might actually do something. Now, before we start getting into looking at the coaches and different things of that nature, one caveat that I'm going to say with this, I'm a little scared with them because they remind me a little bit of kind of that Express, the Memphis Express team from the AAF, where they had a lot of swagger. Singletary brought that with them, but they just didn't bring the punch. Whereas I would like to see them kind of a evolved version of the Birmingham Iron, where Birmingham Iron, they brought it to you. They brought the hurt. They brought the pain. They smashed mouth football with it, and they won some games. But they never really got, kind of got that offense really, really clicking. So, I think we kind of got a false thing with Luis Perez in that. So let's go ahead. Let's look at things. Let's start off with kind of the defense. Let's just go right there. Pemper Johnson. The man is a very good coach. He's right in line with exactly what Winston Moss is wanting to do. They're going to bring it on defense. This defense is not holding anything back. They're going to come. They're going to be punching people in the mouth, And that's just how they're gonna run it. They're just gonna come out. They're gonna come with some hard-nosed football, and a lot of it's going to be coming from probably the linebacker position. A lot of these guys focused on linebackers. Pepper Johnson, he's the linebackers coach, and he's been coaching the linebackers for a long time. So you're going to kind of see probably a defense that's going to be centered probably somewhere around the linebacker position, and then a lot of these guys are kind of guys that don't have a whole lot of experience, so it'll be interesting to see. Some of the guys have been out of football there for a while, so a lot of them, they've got, again, you're going to see a theme with this. They got a lot to prove, and so if they can really get the guys to come in and buy into it, and bring it, I think defensively they're going to be okay. And they might actually be one of the better defenses in the league. We'll have to look at that when we get into actual personnel and who they drafted and who they got. But when I look at their defense, I got a lot of unknowns and a lot of questions, but I don't feel as worried about their defense as I do their offense. So let's go ahead and let's switch things over to their offense. When I'm looking at their offensive staff, I am looking at a lot of guys that need to prove a lot of things. First, we're starting off with the quarterback, Luis Perez. The guy has talent out the wazoo. I mean, he's what you want to see. The kid throws a pretty ball. He can escape. He stays in the pocket long. And I think that that's going to bode well for a Norm Chow style of offense. The question is that we've got a lot of guys on this offensive squad that have a lot of years of coaching football. The question is can they translate to today's offense? Because I think that what might happen with them is they might be stuck in just like first gear and not really get anywhere with the offense. And so I'm worried that their offense is, lack of a better term, just going to be archaic. Norm Chow did great. He's known for the time that he did at USC, but pretty much outside of that, he hasn't really done anything. And unfortunately, that's 15 years ago. So when he's putting together an offensive squad, and offensive guys, I'm really curious to see how they're going to try to take what all that they've learned and all that they've done and translate it to today's game. Because I just don't think if they take the offense that he ran back in the early 2000s and try to translate it today, it's not going to happen. So I'm really curious to see how they change things up, how we're going to see a different type of an offense with Norm Chow. I really feel like their whole season is really going to revolve around what type of an offense that Norm Chow is going to run and what they're going to do. If he can evolve the offense, I think LA is gonna give people a run for their money, and I really believe that they've got a good shot, but that's whether or not they can put together a good offense. I will look at the offensive personnel again in another video, but that's kind of my thoughts, and that's going to be kind of an overlying theme with this. If you watched Luis Perez's, him playing in the AAF, one of the things he was plagued with is just wide receiver drops. That was a big thing. He did get inconsistent there, but, part of it was I felt like the wide receivers didn't get open for him. He didn't really have a whole lot of talent around him. The offensive line, didn't block for him very well. It seemed like that they just had issues in Birmingham. They were able to score enough points to win, and the defense really held the other teams when they played them. But I feel like if we can get these other coaches to really step up and get their players to play, I think this is going to be huge. Jerry Tennant, he is the offensive line coach, and he's coming from Green Bay with Winston Moss, so he's a guy that Winston Moss knows very well, and so hopefully, and he's one of the guys that has one of the few guys that has recent coaching experience on this team. So I look for the offensive line to do really well. And so hopefully, I really feel like if Luis Perez can get a good offensive line and they can get wide receivers to catch. So if Mike Wilson can get his wide receivers to catch, I think that they'll do pretty well. But again, the theme with this coaching staff is a chip on their shoulder, got something to prove. We ain't here to play. And if they can adapt Winston Moss's swagger and go about it, and go about doing their business and not worrying about it, and the offense and that offense can come out firing on all cylinders, get a long passing game in there, and get a decent run game. I think they could be something. LA's got something with Winston Moss. I really like how the XFL's put him in that LA market. I think he'll do great things there. That's if they can get. I believe they can get the offensive going. All right, guys. Well, that's what I think. The question is, what do you think? What do you think about this coaching staff? There's a lot of unknowns. Are you skeptical of them? Do you like them? Is there anything that I missed that that I don't? I love the comments when you guys put them down there and give me little tidbits that I didn't have a clue about and let me know stuff. I'd love to hear it down in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. Well, I know that you're busy and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. All right.